Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Wendy Griffith. Today, President Trump once again warning Hamas if it continues to kill people, then, quote, we will have no choice but to go in and kill them. The story from Jerusalem. Here at home, the president still working to end the war in Ukraine, meeting with presidents of Ukraine and Russia. We'll tell you about the movement to declare a National Day of the Bible, and we'll bring you a look at a new film perfect for fall. These stories and much more today on NewsWatch.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
And we begin with President Trump keeping up his pressure on Hamas as the terrorist group refuses to disarm and executes political opponents in Gaza. They're also still holding on to the bodies of most of the deceased hostages. CBN News Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl has the story from Jerusalem.
In a post on Truth Social, President Trump warned Hamas, if Hamas continues to kill people in Gaza, which was not the deal, we will have no choice but to go in and kill them. When asked later if his post meant that U.S. troops would go into Gaza, Trump responded,
No, I didn't say who would go in, but somebody will go in. It's not going to be us. We won't have to. There are people very close, very nearby that will go in. They'll do the trick very easily, but under our auspices.
His comments come as Hamas refuses to lay down its weapons and after a widely seen video of the terror group publicly executing Gazans. There are reports that it's fighting other clans in Gaza in a power struggle. Israel accuses Hamas of breaking the Trump-mediated agreement by not returning all the deceased hostages yet. Only 9 have been returned so far, with 19 more still held in Gaza.
A callous, barbaric terror group is continuing to hold onto these bodies as their families innocently wait to give their loved ones a dignified Jewish burial. Now, this is what Israel is up against, and the Prime Minister is determined, committed, and is working tirelessly to return all of our fallen hostages.
Still, Israel is allowing the flow of aid into Gaza despite not receiving all the hostages back yet. The IDF received 2 bodies early Thursday, the last female hostage in Bar Haiman, and Bedouin IDF Master Sergeant Mohammed al-Atresh. Meanwhile, the Israeli army continues to strike potential threats. In Lebanon, the IDF is striking what it called Hezbollah terrorist infrastructure, which the group is using to rebuild. Lebanese President Joseph Aoun called for direct negotiations with Israel and reportedly published on his homepage a speech by a member of parliament saying, "The time has come to end the conflict with Israel and move towards stability and prosperity." In Yemen, Houthi rebels said their chief of staff, a major general, died of wounds sustained in an Israeli airstrike, most likely in August. Back in Israel, 2 of the hostages released earlier this week are home from the hospital. Captivity survivors Eitan Horn and Nimrod Cohen received huge heroes' welcomes as they returned to their hometowns of Kfar Saba and Rehovot. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Thanks, Julie. And our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell is with us now from Jerusalem. Chris, great to see you. It seems Hamas isn't disarming no matter how often Trump warns them. Is Israel getting ready for another round of fighting?
Yeah, I believe they are, Wendy. Israel Katz, Israel's defense minister, said just a couple of days ago that they have a comprehensive plan, or they're preparing a comprehensive plan to go back into Gaza. Right now, they control 53% of the Gaza Strip. They had control up to 80%, and they do believe that they have a snapback option ready to go. As you said, Hamas is openly rejecting disarming, and they're stalling, as Julie said in her report, about the return of the bodies. And as Trump said a few days ago as well, if they won't disarm, we will disarm them. He didn't give any details. Now, when he talked in Julie's report about who is going to go in, and it's likely the IDF, they're right there, just a few feet away from Hamas, and they'll be willing, and I'm sure able to do the job if called up by President Trump.
Yeah, Chris, how are Palestinians reacting to Hamas's public executions of their own people, as well as their push to control Gaza?
Well, Wendy, a lot of fear and a lot of anger, but you know, you don't necessarily hear a lot from Gazans. Ever since Hamas took over, they're afraid to speak out. They don't want to see themselves publicly executed or hindered in any way. And the executions are just one way. They can break legs. They can do a lot of things. They can shoot people in the legs. And so they control the people of Gaza by fear and intimidation, by torture. During the war, they found videos and of many people who were tortured during the Hamas rule, and then, of course, summary executions. So, but overall, and I think in a larger sense, Wendy, it's really undermining the legitimacy of any notion that Hamas will be able to rule Gaza long term. But for the people themselves, muted but largely negative reactions to what's happening inside Gaza after the IDF has pulled out.
Interesting. Well, Chris, how much pressure can Israel now exert on Hamas to return the last of the hostages' remains?
Well, they could shut down the Rafah crossing. That's the border between the Gaza Strip and Egypt, and limit the number of Gazans who can get out. They could limit humanitarian aid. Julie said in her report they haven't done that yet, but they could do that. They could also ask Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey. These are three nations that have some measure of influence over Hamas, to put pressure on them, to put pressure on on Hamas. They could add the diplomatic pressure from the United States. There's also some financial pressure they could impose upon Hamas, and hold up specific projects and limit some of the building materials, for example, going into Gaza. So those are some of the levers that Israel has to make sure that they bring back the bodies that so many Israelis are longing for, and especially those families.
Absolutely. And Israel, as you know, took out the military chief of staff of the Houthi rebels in Yemen. How important is that, Chris?
Well, it really has. They've nearly decapitated the whole leadership there of the Houthis in Yemen. It slows down their military campaign. Despite that, Wendy, for months, first it was the United States that had a month-long bombing campaign against the Houthis, and then Israel has struck them a number of times, some of their ports, their military infrastructure, and then they had targeted the leadership of Yemen. But they have shown remarkable resilience. They're still operating. They don't send nearly the missiles that they've in UAVs here to Israel, but they're still existing as some sort of military force there in Yemen. And actually, Israel has really eliminated 4 chief of staffs in the region during their campaign since October 7th.
Wow. Well, it does sound like Lebanon is willing to improve its relations with Israel. What can you tell us about that, Chris, and how would that affect Hezbollah, which is based in Lebanon?
That's right. Well, as you saw in Julie's report, Lebanon's President Joseph Aoun, he said the war has brought what he called no positive results. He's calling for negotiations with Israel. So we're one step towards better relations with Israel. You know, right now you can't travel to Lebanon with an Israeli stamp in your passport, you know, basically as a condition of a war between Lebanon and Israel. But Hezbollah continues to be the main obstacle. And right now, Israel is daily hitting Hezbollah infrastructure to stop its rebuilding efforts. But whether or not they can degrade Hezbollah enough to make sure that Lebanon and the people of Lebanon take over their country still remains to be seen.
And Chris, finally, what do you have for us today coming up on Jerusalem Dateline?
Well, the latest developments with Hamas and Israel. We have Lance Wallnau. He's going to talk about why it's important to talk about and to stand with the Jewish people. There's a quote from Chaim Weizmann, the first president of Israel. He said, "The future of the Jewish people is the future of the world." And Lance Wallnau makes the point, this is such an important time to stand with the Jewish people. We have a story about the impact of the war on Israeli tourism. Also a story by CBN Israel and its Resilience Center to help people get out of their PTSD. And also an interesting story called Israeli Good Wines and how that relates to biblical prophecy.
Wow, interesting. That sounds like a great show. Plus, you'll have a lot of fun with Lance. He's always got something interesting to say. All righty. Well, our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell, we thank you so much for your insights, and we look forward to hearing from you again in the days ahead. And you can see the latest Jerusalem Dateline that Chris just talked about at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's right here on the CBN News Channel. You can also Watch it on the CBN News app or on YouTube. Coming up, here at home, President Trump continues his efforts to end the war in Ukraine as he'll meet with both Vladimir Zelenskyy and Vladimir Putin. We'll hear what the president's saying when we come back. President Trump is pushing ahead with his efforts to end the war between Ukraine and Russia. He spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin Thursday, and today he'll meet with Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. CBN senior White House correspondent Kelly Wright has the story.
I thought it was a very good phone call. I thought very productive.
President Trump discussing his high-stakes phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Mr. Trump talking to Putin about efforts to end the war ahead of his meeting today with Ukraine's President Zelenskyy at the White House, and making it clear that achieving peace in this war is very hard.
We have a problem. They don't get along too well, those two, and it's sometimes tough to have meetings, so we may do something where we're separate but equal.
Because of that, President Trump and his team are planning to meet 2 weeks from now with Putin in Budapest, Hungary. Meanwhile, he is expecting Zelenskyy to ask for the United States to provide Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles, which have the offensive capability of striking deep inside Russia. Trump explained that to Putin.
I did actually say, would you mind if I gave a couple of thousand Tomahawks to your opposition? I did say that to him. I said it just that way. He didn't like the idea.
Zelenskyy believes the missiles would compel Putin to have direct talks with him and Trump to negotiate a ceasefire more seriously. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters the president is working very hard to keep the peace in the Middle East, as well as broker peace between Ukraine and Russia.
President Putin congratulated President Trump for solving the conflict in Israel and Gaza and bringing peace back to the Middle East. He also thanked the First Lady for her efforts to bring back children and save children in this brutal conflict.
First Lady Melania Trump has been in direct communication with Putin to help release 8 of 50,000 Ukrainian children held in Russia since the war began.
I hope peace will come soon. It can begin with our children.
Kelly Wright, CBN News.
Thanks, Kelly. Still ahead, as America remains divided politically and spiritually, legislators in Pennsylvania work to create a Day of the Bible, and Congress may recognize it nationwide. We'll bring you this story next. There's an effort underway to create a Day of the Bible, a national Day of the Bible, with the hope of putting our country on a better track. CBN's chief political analyst David Brody explains why the movement is beginning in Pennsylvania and is central to our nation's founding.
During a time of division and violence in America, Keystone state legislators are fighting back spiritually with the Word of God.
I can't think of anything more important than to put and restore the Bible back before our 250th anniversary.
State legislators Stephanie Borowitz and Doug Mastriano have spearheaded a move that now declares September 12th the Day of the Bible in Pennsylvania. The move is now gaining steam with a resolution introduced in Congress to recognize the day nationwide. Mastriano believes change is in the air.
We are that rock that dropped into the lake, and I believe we're taking this land back.
Last month, that effort began with a celebration in Philadelphia, held within Independence Square at a key location.
It really makes sense that the Bible would be celebrated in a place like this, inside Congress Hall. This place is historic, the first Congress ever in United States history, here for 10 years, from 1790 to 1800. Some of the original founders literally sitting right here in these exact seats. And of course, the Bible was at the center of it all.
The September 12th date is the anniversary of the Continental Congress's approval of the printing of the Aitken Bible, the first complete English-language Bible printed in America. It also is known as the Bible of the Revolution. And in America, the view among conservative Christian legislators is that it's time for another Bible revolution.
We're restoring the Bible back. And this is, like you said, this is a battle of good versus evil, right? And we don't fight flesh and blood. We fight principalities and rulers of this dark world.
Borowitz says she's seen what can happen when the Bible becomes the priority, as one specific group of Pennsylvanians do each year.
They read through the whole Bible at our state capitol in Pennsylvania every year. So this amazing group comes and reads through the Bible in like 7 days. Crime goes down. They said every time they read at each state capitol, crime goes down.
The Word of God helped make a difference in the founding of our nation. And Mastriano adds, it's a living word to us individually.
Study it, read it to your children at night, read a psalm a day, do something with it, because our foundation, our virtue, our nation and republic can only be sustained with it.
As Pennsylvania leads the way, we will now see if the nation will follow. David Brody, CBN News, in Philadelphia.
I love that story. Thank you, David. Well, coming up, a new movie tells the story of a girl and the relationship she develops with her aunt as they work together to grow a giant pumpkin. We'll bring you a look at Grow when we come back. Well, here's a movie perfect for the fall season. It's an imaginative tale of a girl who grows close to her no-nonsense aunt as they aim to grow a giant pumpkin. Ephraim Graham sat down with the director to bring us this look at the film, Grow.
This is my niece.
What?
What is it with this place and pumpkins?
Ready for the contest?
I'm going to win. My dad's entering the contest too.
Let's go back to the beginning. What was the filmmaking process like for you?
All the cast, there was no egos. Everybody just wanted to come in and have fun and have a laugh. The crew were all great fun. It was ridiculous. So we had 8 weeks. We were on a farm. We lived on a farm, lived on this farm, and this is where we'd done all our production out of. Like a proper old farmhouse. We had an aga and all that as well, to chuck baked potatoes in for our lunch. It was mad. And from there we found the farm that we wanted to shoot in, and the art department get in and just absolutely just, because the house was was a bit of a wreck. Nothing of that. It was there, and they just went in and just went at it. It was class.
What are some of the overall themes of this film?
It's a lot to do with family, unconventional family, about growth and nurturing, it's a fun film. It should just be filling you full of joy. There shouldn't be there's nothing negative in here. We have an eco message, but I'm really proud that we're not ramming anything down anybody's throats. It's part of the world, and hopefully kids and stuff like that will have that little bit more appreciation for plants and things like that. But it's not, as I say, nothing's there to be you should be doing this more, again, that's what's going to take my audience out of the film. So, yeah.
What was it like working with Priya Rose Brookwell, who plays the leading role of Charlie Little?
Oh, Priya's class. Honestly, she's absolutely magic.
This will sound mad, but every time I touch a plant, it's like I can feel what they're feeling. Charlie, look at me.
She never cried. She never huffed. She was never stroppy. She was just Priya every day. She was a ball of energy. From the moment she got on his set until the moment she left.
That ain't mine, is it?
We snogged once at a school disco.
But what a snogger?
She's entering the pumpkin contest, wanted a few tips.
In this film, is there anything you've grown from as a director?
I love collaborating, and this was such a good collaborative process. I love my heads of departments. Jamie Lapsley, my designer, and Robert Maitland, my costume designer. George, my director of photography. They've got their stamps all over this film. same as the cast. So, like, growing in confidence that I think that's the right way to make films, like, is, yeah, it's probably what I've taken from it.
You got much of a team? I'm working on it.
What do you want audiences to walk away from after they've seen this film?
I just want them feeling good. I want them, I've tried to, build a great fun soundtrack with my boys, with some great tunes, and we've got a blooper reel at the end, so like for people to stick behind and have a laugh and sort of feel kind of part of it, come to the cinema, forget all about the mortgage, forget about work, forget about your homework, and just sit down and have that proper shared experience, with parents and kids both laughing together.
This one's lonely.
I'm lonely, it's got me. I don't know whether this thing of yours is real, but you brought us together.
Who doesn't like a film about a giant pumpkin? Makes me want a piece of pumpkin pie right now. Well, you can see the film Grow on the big screen. It's actually in theaters starting today. That's going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. Let us know what you think about the stories you've seen today. You can reach out at newswatch@cbn.com. From all of us here, have a great day and God bless you.